The following episode may contain spoilers for the game Frosthaven.
Welcome to episode 22 of our board game podcast, a master's degree in rolling terribly. For something different, I'll be your host, Eddie. And for something extremely different, I'll be joined by the guy who I reckon presses all the buttons in an elevator right before he leaves it because he's childish like that. Gaz! Say hi, Gaz.
I haven't done that in at least a year. Hi, Gaz. How we going? How you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. I've actually got a question for you.
Oh, straight up question.
Yeah. Where do robots go for a vacation?
I don't know. Where?
Botswana. Where's the... Can you find the thing? No, not that one.
That one?
That's the one. That's the
I
one.
think this one's more appropriate.
No. I was planning that all weekend, so I'm really glad I got that one out there.
Yeah, me too.
So we actually got a little bit of a contact from Frank, who sent me a lovely email just talking a little bit about Phil's Deathwalk after the interview episode. And one of the things we were talking about actually was Phil's mastery and how to complete that. Now, Frank gave us a couple of helpful tips as to how to do that. Frank, if you're listening, we still don't know how to do that. It's like, I don't know what's going on, whether or not I've Googled it. It's not my class. I shouldn't have to. But, Phil is got 5 shadow tokens only, and we don't know if they're meant to be unlimited or if we're missing another punch board with more on there.
Yeah, so for everybody, the challenge is that he has 5 tokens, and in a turn he needs to eat 7 shadows, right? So we just don't understand how he can do that with the cards that he has, and we've looked through. So in essence, he'd need to have 5 out, eat at least 2 of them, create 2, and then eat them again. And I think I worked out a way that he could do it with one of his items, and he could do 6, but not 7. Because it's really bizarre. So if we are doing something really bad,
we 100% have to be.
Yeah,
we 100% have to be. And you know what? It's not our character. It's not our class. So,
who cares? Yeah?
Well, if he cares, he would work it out.
That's it. I mean, he does have a habit of only reading the first couple of words of a card.
That's the part I'm worried about.
Yeah, you retire when you get X amount of gold, where gold equals, he's like, oh, whatever, I won't bother out the rest of the text.
Oh, that's just so much.
I'm sure it's not important to the rest of the sentence.
No, that's true. Hey, Daddy, just cutting in here. We had a chance we actually got an email again, further clarifying this before this episode went live. And it turns out it's something quite simple with regards to placing and removing tokens. So thank you so much again, Frank, for reaching out even before we aired this. And yeah, we're excited to tell Phil, and hopefully he can sort this out. My only issue is that he will attempt to do this on a very important scenario and then book the scenario. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Thanks again, Frank. So yes, there's that. Also, one of the actual options that actually came up was the item from the solo scenarios. Now, this I believe was an add-on. I think I did receive it much later, and it's actually been in a sealed thing on the kitchen bench. I haven't actually opened it. And I actually opened it because I was curious. I was like, I wonder how these whole solo scenarios work, because the idea of getting everyone together to watch one person play wasn't really something I ever thought we would ever do. But there are times where people do want to arrive early, and this could be a good opportunity to say, hey, maybe give your solo scenario a go. There's an item in there for each class has an item, and it could be helpful. Now, upon reading this, they recommend, or maybe you can't do it until level 5, and apparently they're quite challenging, but they're very organized around the play style of the character. And I haven't looked at any of them apart from the Drifter one, and I mean, Drifter's now retired, but no, the items are really, really cool. And actually the Deathwalker item, which is in there, was probably something that's really going to help.
So when you said they're based around the character, so does that mean the Drifter one is literally just move attack? Like that's move attack? Like all
I
the
didn't
monsters
look.
are in a
I didn't
line,
read the
and
whole thing. I just looked at the map, and
and it was like move attack, and
Kind
then
of.
that would die, and then you move attack, and
yeah,
then
I think so.
okay, all right,
But there's like
cool.
special rules as well, where the drifter actually gets to pick a card, not his starting 12 as a setup. Pick a card with a persistent ability and have it played in front of them.
Oh, so you start with the buff.
You start with one. So there's
That'd be
little things that they all do. And I
I feel
actually
like
read
that should
yours.
have been. I feel like that should have been one of the Drifter's masteries that never got done. Was that you just get to start with a
Like a double perk?
persistent. No. Like, oh, yeah. The double perk one. That should have been that. Like, you start with the with a mastery with a persistent ability out.
I never actually got the double perk one, the one that let me return at
Have
the end of
three
the
hands?
scenario. No. Well, there's that one as well. I didn't actually get up that one either.
Did you have two double ticks?
Um,
Or was the?
I can't
was
remember
that-
if the hands one is double tick or not, but the other double tick one is at the end of the scenario. I can actually exchange loot cards that I looted for fresh ones.
What?
Yeah, look, I didn't take that.
Oh,
Look.
Daddy. So this whole time when we were going like, why do we never see these treasure chests? And you're like looting McLootface over
Yeah, but
here.
it's
You
two
could have been just
perks,
exchanged.
and I'm already copping a lot of grief over my -2, and I gotta get rid of all that kind of stuff out of there. So I was gonna get to it. It's just I fluffed too many perk kind of things, which I think Phil's finished his now, and I don't know if you have or not. Have you finished?
Nah, I've gotten stuck. So I've slowed down.
What about the
I think
actual perks from the battle goals? Have you finished that?
What do you mean?
The
as
18,
in-
the 18 boxes up the top right.
No, that's the one I'm stuck at. So I've got one more to finish the 3, and then I got 3 after that. So I've got like 2 ticks left from those.
Okay. So this week we actually started we finished off the outpost phase, right? Because we just discovered Bumpy, and then we had to work out what we were going to do, and that led to the attack, right? We had another beautiful winter attack, and we got a chance to show Mark exactly how that kind of plays out, and we actually flipped really well, or you did, where you're looking after the guard deck.
But our morale's up and with our walls, so I think our base defense is 20 now. So as long as we don't get one that's really dumb, like I think all we needed was zeros, so we had a pretty good chance of. I think we only had to fix like 1 building or 2 buildings. So.
Well, got me thinking about the morale track there. I was having a look at it earlier. Are we just going to work at any time any chance we get, push it all the way up to the top? Because just like Gloomhaven, there's like a event or a section or something we read if we get to the top, and also one if we get down to the bottom. So I think that's something we should aim for.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, we finished off nothing crazy in the outpost phase. Now, apart from I retired the Drifter officially and got to open up an envelope, which was really cool. We unlocked another building. I won't go into that one just yet because we didn't actually build it. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about that once we actually build it, and just that's going to be part of the podcast spoiler territory, as well as discussing new classes that we unlock as it gets more and more down that spoiler path. But that's something we talked about at the start that we were going to have to do.
Oh, without saying what it is, I was underwhelmed. So I feel like we won't talk about it for a while because I don't think we're going to build it for a while.
But every time you build something, prosperity and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, but buildings because we just hit 3 prosperity. We can build basically. It's just unlocked like everything to build.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is like very low on the list of things to build.
No, that makes sense. We also head into scenario 16. So scenario 16, the derelict elevator, which was the second one in the robot quest chain. The first one we didn't have any robots. It was the running away from hounds one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that was
that's
scenario
right.
8. So
And then we had a crossroads, right? We could either go like down the elevator or up the spire,
something like that.
something like that. And we were like, oh, which one feels more robot-y? And then I think we chose the elevator.
You did.
I think we.
Oh, one of the reasons we're doing this is because you are wanting to kill a certain robot.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I need to kill a really specific type of robot, which doesn't exist. So,
You haven't seen it yet? Okay.
no, not seen it yet.
And the other thing we did today was we tested out a snowflake. How exciting. So, guys, could you launch us into our weekly road event on the way to scenario 16?
Of course I can. Like, like every other road event prior to this,
So
I have a photographic memory of exactly what happened each step of the way.
it's interesting because the last few, I guess, boat events kind of stuck with your mind because we haven't had too many of them. So they were easier for you because you haven't had this forgetful thing in a while, interestingly enough.
You say forgetful, but I feel like you mean rememberable.
Okay. So when I actually played it through Fortella, it was mentioning a lot of mechanical things that were happening in the background.
Oh,
And a lot of noises and stuff. And Gaz was like, is this the scenario? And I was like, no, this is the road event. And it was actually really uncanny. It was crazy that the road event actually lined up so well with the beginning of the scenario because we were heading into sort of a robot land.
Yeah, that's right. And remembering better because I remembered a little bit, but now I remembered more.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That really was. It
Yeah.
was, again, without spoiling anything, but we're going to Robot Land and we had a robot road event. And it's like, whoa, that's, that was really cool. So, and I think we chose well.
We did choose well. It was one of those ones that maybe had a not a game impacting decision, more so a story one, or how the group would act morally, which was pretty cool.
So that was interesting.
Yeah. So we did that. It was good choice. We haven't actually had a overly bad one lately, and I guess we're just really good at all of the events that we do.
Yep.
And then everyone
the best events.
begins doing their little chit chat, and I start setting up scenario 16. Now, I haven't had the greatest amount of enjoyment setting up some of the scenarios lately, especially with 14. 22 wasn't too bad, but 16...
22 was just like 14-2. Like it was like the sequel to 14, but worse.
Yeah, but the setup,
Or not worse.
I guess, at least didn't have a bazillion things on it. Right?
Yeah, true.
22 started to just potentially snowball that way.
Yeah.
But 16 was a whole new beast because it's one room with an attachment with letters scattered everywhere. Right? There are letters all over this thing. It looks like something out of Wheel of Fortune, or actually it looked like Wheel of Fortune. It looked like we were just trying to fill in the gaps.
Quick question. Did Gloomhaven even have letters?
No, not that I know of. I think it may have put them on the map as for a reference, like if you could just reference the book to see where something was going to spawn from. But I don't know whether or not it came with letters. At least I don't remember it.
Yeah, I know that there are missions or scenarios that things would spawn. So I feel like they must have had some token for that because they didn't have like a spawn thing. But I cannot remember in the 100-odd scenarios of Gloomhaven that I've played, like there's been more of these type of scenarios with so many just letters scattered everywhere in Frosthaven so far in the 20-odd that we've played.
I think they use a special tile, like an overlay tile on something like the fountain, and then they just make reference to this particular tile is this. And then this would happen every now and then, etc. Look, the letters are really handy for at least keeping it more straightforward, but I think it just means the designers then go, well, we've got all these letters to signify all these different things, and we can actually make a whole bunch more happen because they can keep track of it, right?
Yeah, because that's what people want. But yeah, they also should have made them capital letters.
Yes. Like, or I don't know, symbols like smiley face and angry emojis. They should have been emojis.
They should have been emojis. So at the sad face emoji, spawn one of these. At the poo emoji, spawn one of these.
Exactly.
It's like, oh no, not the poo emoji.
Now, we also saw 2 new mobs. One is an old returning mob from Gloomhaven, the Ancient Artillery, which you probably remember a little bit more than me because you even said things like the long-range firing cannon kind of things.
I think they've correct. I'm not sure. This is purely on my ability to internalize their cards from Gloomhaven, but I feel like they've changed their cards.
Okay.
They did a bit different stuff. I feel like
wouldn't surprise me.
In the other ones, we didn't see any immobilized from them. I don't think, or no, we did because I remember getting immobilized. So maybe they are the same. But yeah, anyway, they when we saw them come up, I was like, oh no, these are tricky.
They well, story-wise, we went to an elevator and we started like descending, and then it kind of kicked us in like into the start. But we ended up in a room with these 2 cannons, artillery, we'll just call them guns, cannons, whatever. And then we were surrounded by 6 new creatures. I think these are new. I don't know if they were in Gloomhaven or not, but ruined machines.
Nah.
And like they're like robots, and everything's coming to life, and no one seems to be like, and an alarm's going off in the distance, and you know we're going full one of the MI3 or something like that into MI6, sorry, into a hostile environment, and then it starts. And this particular scenario, look, it's another scenario goal that was like the scenario is complete when at least 12 rounds have passed, and all the enemies are dead. At the end of that round, we read a section. And when you think of that, it's kind of like, okay, 12 rounds have passed. There's all these mobs that we can see and all these letters. And immediately we're thinking these are all spawn points, but like keeping track of this would be horrendous. And then we read the special rules. Now, the special rules ended up becoming a bit of a interesting discussion because basically the platform with the guns, that was like a separate platform. The section that we are on, the one tile, is connected to the platform. That's the part that's moving, but it's moving up and down, right? Not across the map or anything like that. So they have you put damage tokens on the left-hand side of this platform to indicate that it's 2 levels below you. And then as you're descending, each round you remove a token. And then next round you move another token. And then when there's no token to remove, you place a token on the other side. And then by that stage, it's showing that it's going past you and it's going up. So this is to signal thematically that the elevator is descending.
Yeah. So visually, we're on an elevator. It's like a fighting game on Nintendo, and we're going down the thing, and mobs are spawning, and which we'll get to, and there are guns on the side that we're going to go past. They get to shoot us a bunch, but then they're gone, right? So they're there for 5 turns as they go. And you can jump on the platform, but then if you're on it when it goes past, then you just take a bunch of damage and everything dies.
That's right.
Now, on that though, right? That would thematically, that's really cool, and visually, it was really, really cool. I think we might talk more about this in general when we talk about our feelings on the scenario, but I don't know. I felt like the token placing of working out where it was, whether it was below you, equal to you, or above you. Okay. And now I'm really happy to be corrected here if we did something completely wrong. But from my understanding, it didn't matter whether it was below you, equal to you, or above you.
No, it didn't.
That the things could shoot and you could attack them and you could move in and out of that space.
Yeah, you didn't have to wait for them to reach a certain level.
Yeah. So thematically, if you just completely ignoring the rules, right, you would think that you could only move in or out of it when it was on your level. That's why it had that as a register. You know, you had 2 tokens. When they had both been removed, it was on your level, and then you added 3 more and it was gone. But that was so... Like, we stuffed it up the first time and we ended up getting kicked off and think we either miscounted or just, I don't know. I think we didn't put one on when it had none. So we just missed around by accident. Why? I don't get. It wasn't just each round put a token there or each round take a token off. Like, there's 5 tokens. When it has no tokens, it's gone. Because it just made it overly complex to track a counter. Like... I said this, I think, afterwards. I'm like, there are so many places where a countdown die or a spin down die would be way more useful than stacking damage tokens on the side next to a tile to register how many rounds have passed. And now, I mean, we can do that, right? Like, we can get a die, and maybe we should. That might actually be a really good solution to some of these things. But it just... And I only bring this up because I did a quick look on Reddit and the internet to see, like, I don't know what I was looking for, but just something around that thing. And there was that conversations on like BGG about, no, well, you can only go on it when it's equal to you, or we did it this way, or we did it that way. And I think someone in the end was just like, just read the rules, the rest is flavor, right? So the thing says you can move on and off it, doesn't say anything about where it has to be, and then at the end of it goes away, it's all flavor.
That's right.
Which is great. I'm completely fine with that to make it simple. But just put a pile of counters. There is 5 counters here. At the end of each round, remove 1. If you're on it when there's none, it goes away.
Yeah, and that is something that, like you said, we could have probably done ourselves. But it's hard because you're looking at the rules as written and you want to do everything right to make sure you don't mess anything up. And then once you finished it, you then summarize, okay, you summarize the rule, that particular rule, and how you could have made it cleaner, which was actually really easy to do. But also you're taking away, and it leads me to a question, and I don't want to jump straight to it, but it's kind of like, This scenario was very, very flavorful because of the way they structured it, right? Thematically sensational, actually, I would say. But doing so, it was detrimental a little bit to some of the rules and some of the experience, okay? Just a little bit, because it got a little bit funny that way. But does this mean that we're being a little bit too fussy as a player? When things don't have enough theme and enough flavor and it's kind of boring, it's kind of like, where's the middle ground here? It's because, we want more of that awesome, the fact that they went out of their way to even write all that and say, now it's 2 levels below you, and you can visualize it. That's fantastic. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I think without going too far down, because I think it's a design, not issue, but to answer your question, are we being too fussy? I think yes and no. I always really appreciate really clean rules, right? And when you have a complex situation or a complex interaction and you don't need to go to 3 tables to work out what the outcome was, they have a really clean way of going like, roll this, cool, it's here, right? Or draw these cards and that's what happens. Things like that. And Gloomhaven was really good at that. Like the top bottom card action thing is brilliant from a like complexity, but done really clean. Because it was very easy. Pick 2 cards, play it, and then you get to choose your abilities. I feel like maybe this is just one of those ones where they either didn't have enough time to refine. I mean, you're doing 150 scenarios, right? Like you kind of would get past scenarios. You're not going to spend like months on every one. So maybe it's just a case of going like, you know what? We've got it. The mechanics work. It's thematic. That's enough because I'm going to go spend my time on something else. If you were making a game that had 5 scenarios and this was one of them, right? I feel you would make it. You could make it the experience and the theme the same, but you'd probably make it tighter based on what you would use for the rules, mechanics, etc.
What we experience and what we're discussing right now may actually be unique to us. Now, apart from a couple, like we may be in a 5%, you know what I mean? Where people are like, well, we understood. Because that, unlike scenario 14 with the admin and all of that, things that people don't like, this one, I can say wasn't as bad as those scenarios. It was actually really quite enjoyable. I actually really liked it, right? Not to that kind of level. But it became player error, right? Player error. A little bit more that, because provided you're doing everything correctly, there shouldn't be anything confusing. And that will come down to, maybe us.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. That's not on the scenario. And but I guess, you're right. Our experience, we're going to go into why it was wildly different or could have been to other people's experiences. It was not because of the upkeep or the admin piece. That wasn't anything to do with it. So, yeah, look, I love that they are trying really, really hard to make really cool thematic scenarios. Like I thought the boat one, I think I mentioned that last week, that I love the idea of it. And I didn't actually even mind the way that it worked, but there was just a couple of little things about like, oh, cool, now you have 85 mobs on the table, go. And you're like, oh, yeah, it's really thematic, but I need an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the counterbalance. So I love some of these scenarios and how they've done them. And this was no exception. And in fact, again, visually, I thought this was really cool.
Yep.
But it did, there was just a couple of annoying bits with how it worked.
Okay. Something else that came up in our conversation, we're going to go into this scenario a little bit more from a playthrough kind of thing. Ruined machines. They have a card, and it was actually the first card they pulled. Remember this? Now, there were 3 of them. Now, the way we're situated, right, because every level you have a starting location, and most times it's on the opposite side of the things that you need to kill, or the ranged units, or something like that. This time we were smack bang in the middle of a room, perfectly in range of these ancient artillery, and in between, I think 5 ruined machines, 3 on one side and 2 on the other. Now, we're within range of pretty much everything at the moment. And then the very first card they pull had us reading, they move 2, they do, 3 damage or something like that. And if they successfully pull off their attack, they explode. It's called self-destruct. And I think it goes very late, somewhere in the 90s. So they go very, very late and they blow up and they do trap damage to the person. So not only they're hitting the person, they're then exploding for trap damage to the person and all enemies adjacent to the actual ruined machine. And we had a bit of discussion about, because it was rather amusing when they pulled that first, and then we realized that was a reset card, and we've had a few questionable reset cards from some of the scenarios and mobs that we've actually had. So this was an instance where, yeah, right from the get-go, they came in and blew us up essentially, which was really, really fun. Especially me. I'm running a level 2 snowflake with 9 health.
I think we actually handled that pretty well, though, right? Like we saw that, we killed one, the rest of them blew up. We managed to funnel them in.
You were mobilized too.
Actually, that's right. Yeah, I did. I immobilized 2, so they didn't go boom. I took 1 to the face. Mark got a scaly up, which took 1, and the other one, I think we worked out a way, and it didn't kill someone. So I think we were like, oh wow, that was crazy, but it cleared most of them, so we only had 2 left, and we're like, oh, okay, that's all right. These guns are peppering us, and et cetera, et cetera. But it was very much like, oh wow, okay, that's big. Small thing as well that was interesting is that they blow up, but they don't hurt friendlies, and I guess that's just a balance thing, right? Because if they do, then everything would just blow up.
You send one person in, right?
yeah, exactly. But I feel like if they did hurt friendlies, as in like each other, then it would have been a cool like placement thing, like pushing them together and then having someone move there so that they could. Or if they blow up, then when they die, they also blew up that turn. Because I know there was a cultist, I think it was in Gloomhaven, that when it died, it had a card. And if it died on the card that you picked that up, they exploded.
That's right.
Yeah, these robots would have been cool if it was like, if it does its attack, it blows up. Or if it dies this turn, it also blows up. Because then you could kind of almost create this chain reaction of blowing up robots.
That's right. So we made a plan to like clear the room. Now, because of that, we lost quite a few of them, which was great. I remember discarding a card. Now, mind you, I'm on a brand new snowflake, so I'm trying to get used to exactly how it operates and how it works. And then the boys decided to do Operation Jump onto Platform with guns. And I have a card. It's a very famous snowflake card, I think. It's called Owls or something like that, where you can actually gift everyone jump and move, extra movement. So everyone ditched me, and I was like, go forth, everyone, jump onto that platform. And the other rule about this whole scenario is you need to keep track of. Not only are you keeping track every round about the positioning of these platforms, at the end of round 4, I believe, something happens, and it signals it through wording that some of the, all of the A tiles are going to do something, and, highlights them. Because the next minute, while everyone's running up there dealing with all of the guns, I had another 5 or 6 ruined machines spawn around me. I think 3 near the platform, 3 near the other platform, and we had another platform introduction. As we're lowering in, we then see another platform with 2 guns. And I become completely surrounded while everyone's over there. And I just realize I am literally a round away from exhausting if these guys all activate and come up to me, because I still haven't mastered my snowflaking blizzard abilities of staying alive and ice block and all that kind of stuff. I think I said it was the Piper Perry surrounded meme, if anyone knows what that is, which that's the one I posted.
Just make sure if you Google it, you're not at work.
No, but it felt like that. It felt very much like that. And then it became Operation Save Dirty as everyone had to come back and help me. This is the next part to the scenario player potential error admin, because it's now an extra thing that we need to monitor. We need to monitor the tiles that these things are spawning. Oh, small caveat also on these letters that are all over the place. I swear I'm missing some because I didn't have all the letters that were in the book. So we had the makeshift like that. That's, the G spot and the
You mean you couldn't find the G spot?
The H spot, and I'm going to use a different letter. The H spot and the other H spot. We only had one H, so I had to put a wound on both of them. So that we'd know that if the H spot triggered, we'd have to spawn 2. Okay, we just need a moment. All right.
This is about as much fun when Phil was talking about the size of his deck.
So yeah, we had to actually then track where everything spawns when the other elevator's coming down. Now, when the other platform is now in view, we've got 2 of these things to then monitor the tokens on. And this is what led to what Gaz was mentioning. We got to about I would say round 6 or round 7 before things got really messy. And I think all the boys that went to that platform, they thought they had another round left. And they got caught on there and they take crazy damage and get moved into the thing, back onto the main board. And then we kind of were like, let's maybe restart.
Yeah, we miscalculated by a round. We got booted off. It was me and Mark, and the bigger thing of all of that wasn't so much that we both all took trap damage. It was that he lost 2 of his skeletons. So that just sets him back so far.
Yeah,
and it was a bit rude, but yeah, it was rough. It was rough. There was a couple of cool turns in there though, like when you were surrounded. We did Operation Save Daddy. We actually did a really good job of it.
You did.
And I think like I was 1 damage away from killing one. I think Phil did something. Then a couple of misses came up as well, and we almost went through that turn where you were getting shot by 2 cannons and attacked by 4 of these robots. We almost went through it with you barely taking any damage.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
I think, it was like, wow, this almost all came together.
It was a foregone conclusion I was going to be extremely messed up, and I came out of it fairly unscathed, which is
what Snowflake
really surprised me. So yeah, again for the second week in a row. Wait, is this the second? Yeah, second week in a row. We had to restart.
We have to restart 14 because we cheated. Well, so caveat, we didn't cheat. We just made Phil go invisible for half the scenario.
Cheesed it.
So cheesed it. Yes, cheese is the correct C word there.
So yeah, we had to redo scenario 16. And then we did. We just had it all set up. We were gearing to go, and we just tried to pay a little bit more attention to the movement of the platforms. And in fact, Phil came up, he actually mentioned it. If we go to the further side away from the guns, we may be in a position where we can just ignore them completely. So from the previous one, we actually went onto the platform. This time, except for me, this time we actually stayed on the far side. And when the other platform came into view, we then jumped onto that one to then take care of that. I think Mark Skeletons did a phenomenal job of that.
Yeah,
you and Mark Skeletons did. You both were on there.
I had to move over there because I needed to go range. And then it's funny because I jumped over there next to the guns, but then I was in range mode, so I could still only hit the robots. So I was like, hey, I'm over here, but I'm not really dealing with the guns. I'm just standing next to them. So
drawing fire away.
Yeah, drawing fire away, I guess, as well, which was good because we had a lot of robots.
The robots spawned, and there was a wall of them.
Yeah, because and we'll go into more detail on this and how it impacted, but very different to the first round. We didn't draw them explode on the first turn and the second turn. So come fourth or fifth turn, once we'd had like kind of a couple of waves of them, we actually had like 6 of these robots on the field plus the gun. So there was actually like quite a lot of stuff on there. Not too much, like not the crazy electric eel thing. There was just like okay, this is tricky.
It was intimidating looking. It was really intimidating looking.
And the thing is, right, and we've talked about this with knowing what a monster can do, is that we were in that watching these 6 or 7 robots or whatever it was on the board, going, if they draw the explode card, we are in so much trouble.
It was
right?
the one card we were worried about.
Yeah. And because of the way that, and again, yeah, you're right. It was a really good idea from Phil. So Phil, kudos. This is the one time you get kudos. Don't complain that we don't give you credit. It actually kept us out of range, mostly from the other gun, and so we were able to focus that. Except for me, I got immobilized for like 3 or 4 turns in a row, so I just kept getting shot. But it meant that we were like, oh wow, we're doing quite well. Like we haven't burned a bunch of cards. We knew what was going on. The strategy seemed to be working. But yeah, like I said, when there was like 6 or so of the robots, we're like, one card could completely undo all this. Like one card of them just exploding and dealing 5 damage per robot in addition to the punches. So it was we were kind of on edge for a fair bit.
Yeah. I just wanted to say it's funny because that card, they've got 2 reset cards every creature generally does, and the other one was like a move, muddle, poison or something like that.
Muddle with everything. No, it was the move and everything within 2 gets muddled.
That's right. And they kept pulling that, right?
Yeah, all the time. We didn't see it at all in the first lot.
Which was like the wave thrower one, where they never pulled the eel one on the second go. These guys never pulled the explosion one. And we were like, oh, this is so good that they're not doing it because obviously that's terrible. But at the same time, I'm looking at it from the other side. Like, even though that's a bad one, if you can manage it by, CC or movement, it's only a move 2. And mind you, this is a small scenario. But if they do get that off, which they did a little bit in the first run, it removes so many of them. We don't have 6 of these guys running around. So it's kind of like you want it, you don't. Well, you mostly don't. But if it does happen, it's not the worst thing ever. Right? And if they pull it again, yes, they can pull it twice in a row. Well, if there's none left, it's not really a big deal, right? It becomes a dead card if there's only one.
Well, yeah, because we didn't realize that the move muddle card was a refresh because we were sitting there like shitting ourselves going like, oh, we're going to get blown up because there's more and more and more coming. And we realized maybe by like the third time they drew it, we're like, whoa, that's a refresh card. Okay, so that means the explosion isn't a definite coming, like, like we got the other week where we had the wave crashes or wave throwers or whatever they are, kind of not draw the summon eels, which was their only refresh card.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of like, oh, okay, wait, maybe they won't draw. There's not as big a chance they draw it now. So
After that, the other platform went away, the first original platform, and then after a little bit of time, I think some boulders fell or some debris fell, which was creating some obstacles on the thing, which was actually fun because it was actually something we could hide behind and work around. And then we had another platform go by, and this one had the treasure chest on it, which was, yes, it was that one that had the treasure chest on it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that came. And the
Beyblades. You forgot about the Beyblades.
No, I was about to say the Beyblades, but yes, we had brand new Beyblades at this stage. We hadn't reached this spot in the first run, so it was kind of like, oh, these tiles are now glowing and something's going to happen and pebbles are falling, and the next minute we had a Beyblade come down, and we only had one, and it was kind of like, oh, this is cool. Beyblade, bunch of ruined machines, and Gaz was just like, don't worry about that guy. I'm going to immobilize that guy. That guy's not Beyblading anyone. And you basically kept him all on his own. Now, the thing about these new mobs, right, we didn't get to see a whole bunch from them because you did so well at holding it down. But they have a Retaliate 3, range 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something gross.
It's one of the... Yeah, it is gross, but it's one of the things that I'm really glad that, like, all of my attacks are, like, range 3, 4, or 4, 5, because I was able to outrange it.
Yeah.
And not take Retaliate. So.
That's right. And I think we had a Bane on there as well. But they also create fire, which is nice.
Oh, I love fire. It's great.
We don't have enough mobs that make fire. So we had that. We cleared the room again, and then I think we got to the very end. We got to like round 11 or 12. Oh, we got to round 12. It must have been round 12 where we reached the bottom, and then 3 more of these. What are they called? They're called Flaming Blade Spinner or Hot Whippersnipper is what they are. And we had 3 of them. So this was the final round.
Was there really 3 of them?
There was 3 at the end.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I believe. That's a loose memory. But
yeah, that could be right.
Yeah, and that was the end. It was round 12, so we'd surpassed round 12. We just had to stay alive and do the rest. And yeah, we weren't overly worried, I guess.
Nah, I think by the time we got to the bottom and we realized that was it, because you kind of have that, the goal is now in sight, and you realize you can almost do a little evaluation of where you're at, right? When it's unknown and you I don't know what's coming next, you kind of like, oh, do we have enough cards? But I think we looked around and we're kind of like, yeah, well, this, unless something goes terribly wrong, like this should be fine.
Yeah. So the very end, and I'm just going to launch into battle goals because this is really important and really heartbreaking. But everyone in the last round was like running around picking up loot tokens. This is what you do, right? The last creature gets blown up by Phil. Phil spends a lot of the scenario wondering what's the main target to blow up. And when he sees the end, he goes, oh, it's time to unload. And he unloaded all over the last one that we couldn't really all chip in and do damage. So it just came down to, oh, quick, where's the nearest loot token? And I thought I was being a bit of a smartass because I saved my move 8. So Snowflakes have a move 8 bottom. That is a lost card that generates frost and an XP. And I was like, well, I'm going to get an XP and I'm going to grab some loot. And I showed it off to everyone. I was like, look, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I was running everywhere before I landed on a loot token, just for the hell of it. And then we read our battle goals. Picked my loot token. Everyone got their loot token. My battle goal was Slowpoke, which we haven't seen in a very long time. And I was so adamant of moving 2. So basically, move no more than 2 hexes each turn. And I did that to perfection. There were times that I was moving 3 and I would only move 2 spots. Move 3, but I moved 2. I even missed out on loot throughout it just because I didn't want to move that extra spot. I was so fixated and focused on getting this 2 ticker on a new character because I needed to get those perks and I needed to start filling up that modifier deck. And on the very last round, I completely forgot. And I just ran 8. Got my 1 XP. And then we wrapped up the scenario, and then I realized, oh my God, I failed. And it's not, and it's not one of those things where I can be like, oh guys, actually, let me just take that back. I'd already looted. Other people have looted after me. I'm not going to be that guy and just say, no, I take it back. I actually didn't do that because that's silly. I instead do this. It's just own it, right? So I did. And now I'm just so sad.
Unlike Phil, who was just like, I go here. And it was like, all right, next turn. Wait. I don't move there, I move here.
Whereas the original spot was fine. Because Phil had Wallflower.
Yeah.
And each turn next to a wall, obstacle, or objective. And in a scenario like this, I mean, that's fairly easy to do, which he did. And he almost stuffed it up on the last turn before he realized that the boulders and all that kind of stuff are obstacles. And so he managed to get that. Gaz, what did you have?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay. You had Sluggard. Perform a long rest while at your maximum HP value after you had already suffered damage.
That was shit.
Why?
I couldn't get back up to full.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I tanked a lot in the first like 3 or 4 or 5 rounds. And then after that, it was just too hard to get back up to full because everyone else needed the heals. So it was like I didn't really need them, but any heals that were being thrown around were going to people who were going to die. And I can't sit there on like 10, 12 health and going like, hey, can you throw me some health? Like when Mark's on like 1. Well, yeah, I know. But like Mark's on 1 and going like, hey, I need health so I don't die. And also so I can summon my skeletons.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, can I have some? Because I got this battle goal that I want to do. So yeah, it was crap.
So you didn't get yours?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
The plan
I thought everyone did, except me.
Nah, no, I didn't. So the plan was to get hit and then jump away and heal myself. Like just take a little hit, jump away and heal myself, go range, and then do a long rest. Like just do a long rest like early turn 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But that didn't work because I got immobilized for 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So
if that was a battle goal, you would have made that one.
If it was stay in one place for 5 rounds, yeah, I know, I would have nailed it.
Mark, who is our Bone Shaper, so get used to hearing that word, Bone Shaper. Never use your lowest initiative played card as your initiative card, which I thought, oh no, I had that one recently. It didn't succeed. I had to mix it up so that I could contribute to hitting something, which is why I went back into the pool, which is why he had it, but he got it.
Yeah, because I did that one, but I think it must have been before we were playing with the variant. So, yeah. Though that's interesting because we didn't notice it because the Bone Shaper generally goes really late.
We're not familiar. Like when I think Phil, I think 14, I think 13 or whatever. I think, I kind of get an idea of his. I get a kind of an idea of yours. Technically I get a kind of an idea of his at 76, right? It's somewhere around there. So I can't really tell if he was, if he had that one or not. DPS. So Phil finished up on 69 damage, which is fairly good. I get used to saying that all the time, I guess. Geminate Gaz finished up on 61. We have our Bone Shaper who finished up on 45, and 35 of that came from pets, which is huge. It's nice to see that the skeleton army is doing really, really well. And
on that, just quickly on that, one thing that absolutely cucked him coming into this scenario is that the big robots are immune to poison. So he has a card that he has taken when he leveled up, which I can't remember, Noxious Cloud or something like that. Calvin's used it before, but basically it means that it's a persistent forever. Anytime any of your summons get hit, the attacker gets poisoned, and if they're already poisoned, they take like 2 damage or something like that. So with this army that he's having out and everything's getting hit, it's going to do wonders. It's amazing. I think it's going to do really, really well. These guys can't be poisoned.
Yeah, with Mark's build it would, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was one thing that we'll definitely be seeing those numbers go up.
Yeah, no, I agree. I finished up on 30, which is fine. Completely fine. Damage taken. Phil took 2. I don't know how believable that is. Geminate took 27 minus 4.
Didn't you only do like 8 healing?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, at one stage, I had spent the whole thing. So Snowflake, you can obviously play a few different ways. And the very first one, I wasn't too sure what I was doing. And then because we failed, I had a second go at it and changed things up a little bit. And I decided to go a bit more of a supporting, healing kind of thing. So I had been dumping heals out left, right, and center. And 3/4 of the way through the scenario, I look at the sheet where Phil's filling everything in just to check how much healing I've done. And it's like 6. And I'm just like, no, hang on. Like, I've definitely done more than that. I need you to pay attention to my heals.
And this is where, like, at the start of every turn, you can eat ice to heal for 2.
Correct.
And you did that most of the time, right? So I was like, I don't know. Even if you only did that every other round, you still would be on, like, 10. And that's if you didn't play any heal cards. So,
well, he's got 2 columns here that he's got no problems filling out. And that's his damage and your damage. So you took 27. Now, the Bone Shaper took something like 45. 24 of it from pets. 10 of it from Mark eating his own face. So, but he did have 1 card discard, which is unfortunate. But no, he did really, really well. He's doing a really good job of, damage, and like the pets are just so good. It's just so cool to have them there, soaking up those hits and getting into the position to do, extra damage. And then I took 9, but me personally, I took 2. My hours got booked. I was like, what are these guys doing? Every time you play a card and no one knows what it is, but they saw my punch board next to my play area and they're like, oh, he's got wolves and birds and all that. And then I grabbed the punch board, pop the 2 owls out and pop them both in standees and stick them on the board. Oh, you get 2. And I'm like, hell yeah. Here they go.
Support with 2 pets.
That one's dead. Oh, that one's... And look, to be fair, I wasn't meant to play it. It was more the fact that we had all those ruin machines up, so I really wanted them to soak up in case the detonate card came up.
Yeah.
And then healing, Phil had 2. Sure. So he didn't use his thing again. Like, he's got one of the easiest fat heals to use, and either he's not using or he's not writing it down. Geminate on 11, which is pretty good. Bone Shaper had 5, and I finished on 14, which I still think was not accurate, but that's, hey... That is fine. Maybe I'll just keep separate heal meters.
Yeah. This is what it's going to turn into. Yeah, another admin error. So, just not related to the damage meters at all. I wanted to talk about elements.
I also want to talk about elements.
Do you? Okay. Well, I hear that you've been talking smack about me and the way that the elements are being consumed.
Okay. We're going in 2 different directions here because we'll start off with mine because mine's positive. All right. Okay. I played some of the recordings of our actual play session, and there's one bit where you were like, oh, I eat the wind and turn it into ice, and I turn it into light. And I'm sitting there like, oh, nice. And I got really excited, and I was like, where have you been all my life? Like, this is amazing. And you're like, yeah, I know. And we had a real bro moment where we're like, I'm giving you what you want, you're giving me what I want. Like, please don't retire was what I was saying. Because it was just so cool to have someone, set your elements up. And just knowing that, the Gemini may not be around for, the next however many scenarios, depending on whether or not you find that robot.
And then you proceeded to, during the week, show me a conversation how you were complaining that I was eating all your elements.
Oh, with Alex?
Yeah.
No, he made that up. Look...
I saw you said it. Look, it was you. You're like, oh yeah, all these elements. If I can stop the Geminate from eating them all.
Look, it's like, true though. Whoa. It's true. Hang on. I have gone from a drifter who has none. All right, we have no elements. I don't know what they are. I finally get them, and I actually need like 2 different types, and I create it. 2. And all of a sudden, I'm creating these elements for the first time, setting up my turn for the next turn, only to have the Geminate across the table go, "Are you going to eat that?" And I'm like, yes, I am. And he's like, oh, can I eat that? And I'm like, okay, no. I think
so. The way I see it is, you're just getting precious because you discovered a new mechanic in the game. So you're like, oh, this is this cool new mechanic. I'm going to play with it.
A new mechanic in the game. You want to take it from me?
I don't want to take it from you. So just for the record, the reason that I'm asking to eat these elements is that I have a card now that I just got at level 7, I think it is, where I can eat any element and create frost and light. So it creates two. So
I do
we
like
surplus,
that. Okay.
right? And just we didn't track it, but maybe we need to get Phil to start tracking this. But
Yeah.
I reckon 80% of the frost that you ate, right, to heal people was created by me for eating a different element and turning it into
Whoa,
frost.
whoa,
Because
whoa, whoa.
I reckon frost was up almost every turn, and I don't use it very much.
It was, but caveat here, I have a card that I didn't want to use, but I did. That allows me to generate frost or wind at the end of my turn.
Oh, no, for sure. I know you can generate. I'm just saying that, like, having the ability to have frost up all the time to get that extra healing, I think works really well. So when there's a wind there and it's my turn and it looks like it's going to go away, and I say, hey, are you going to eat that? Don't feel precious. It's just a little question because, hey, like, I could turn this into frost and light, and then I get to use the light next turn.
I guess.
Right?
It's just the wind also enables my pulling and pushing and a little bit of damage abilities and also gives me XP. So it's one of those ones.
know.
Frost is healing, which
just
is
a
not
little
for me.
question.
Frost is not for me. It's for everyone else. Air
It's
is for
just a
me.
little-
Wind is for me.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
it's just a little question,
Okay.
right? But yeah, it is good. It is good. We've kind of got more people playing in the element space. Mark's been generating a little bit more and all that, and also the monsters did a bit as well. So I think there was one turn where we had 4 of the 5 elements. Is it 5 or 6?
We have 5 out of 6.
Yeah, 5 out of 6, and I was like, oh my god, I just want to just do so much stuff with these. Because like the bottom of the card that I got, the burn is to basically like do a bunch of stuff, and then there's eat this element to do this, eat this element to do this. So like with a whole like smorgasbord of elements in one turn, it'd be like yum 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 yum.
Yes.
So
I'm not I just want to run into the snowflake stuff at the moment. My experience with it has been really enjoyable so far. It can be a little bit different because I didn't expect to be a squishy ranged support with a pet.
with a pet.
But that's what I am, and that's what I guess wanted. So, but sometimes in my head I want to run up and hit something, and I was like, oh, you can't really do that. But what I'm loving is the fact that I can mess with everyone, and it's a cooperative game. But you can't. There's a part of me that just can't help but being a little bit of a clown and moving, the creature that Phil's right next to that he's planning to warp further back 4 spots, right? And then say, but I did 1 damage to it, so it was worth it, right?
See, and you give me when I want to wound him or muddle him all the time, right? That became like this, oh, he's just going to hurt everybody. But now you're like, oh, wow, I see the power of being able to mess with people's shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's good.
It's amazing. It's actually amazing. So, look, I wouldn't want to be him for the next few scenarios in us where he upsets us in any way because, although then he'll threaten to not book the big meaty bosses that we're up against. So,
he'll threaten to it, but he'll cave. He'll be like, oh, I'm not going to do really big damage. It's like, oh, wait, hang on. I'll do really big damage then, I guess.
Yes. But I'm really loving the flexibility of it. I'm really loving the heals and the support part of it. I'm loving this wasn't the best scenario when it comes to movement because it was so small. And there's no traps and I can make my own hazardous sort of stuff, but I can definitely see the synergy there. And this is actually where I'm curious as to sort of where the group is going to go forward. I know, look, there's no surprise that the trap class is probably going to make traps, right? So if we did have a trapper, maybe more concentration goes into the movement part of things.
Yeah, it's a good point actually. Yeah, the trapper, again, assuming that they make traps, having someone who's pushing everyone around and stuff like that does seem pretty good.
Yeah, but the thing is, it also works well with you keeping. If you literally sit there and say, "Hey, Daddy, look, I need all of these guys within 4-5 range, but they're not in 4-5 range. Can you set that up for me?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, sure." Because I just need. I don't set it up so much for myself, at least not now, because I'm not playing around the hazardous terrain. But I definitely you guys need to talk to me and just say where you want things. And I can definitely help to make that happen and maybe enable you guys.
Yeah, well, because now we have a support class, like a proper support class. Before we had classes that had an occasional support ability and fill. So now we actually have a class that's primarily support. You can still throw some damage out, and I know you've got a couple of good spells that if you get the right elements and stuff, they can do some damage. So we need to lean into that a bit more. Like
think
you
so.
said, it needs to be, hey, like this is where it gets really tricky. Is that we need to know your cards a little bit, not actually know the cards, but we need to know what you can do. Because
Yeah.
I think
It's
during
gonna take a few rounds, a few scenarios.
I think it was towards the end. I was like, hey, can you make me move?
Mm.
Like, you know, and knowing that stuff, because then you can look at it and go, oh, cool, I don't need to synergize with this. Yeah, you can do things like that. I think knowing that you can push and pull things around is going to be like, hey, can you move that guy? Right? And then that's kind of cool when you've got one of those characters because you feel like you're a combo piece in the thing that's going to happen. So it's not so much like, oh, I'm support, I'm throwing out heals, I'm throwing out buffs, and I'm moving some things around. It's like someone going like, hey, if you can do this, I can do something really cool. And then it works, and you're like, yeah. And then if you get the initiatives right as well, it can feel like that really cool team moment. Like,
yes.
you know, so
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
To seeing more of that come out. The problem is going to be though, if I help put something into position, I want half the damage. Yes. Round it up.
Yeah. So sorry, Phil. When you listen to this, because I know you will, I think we need a new column. It's going to be push and pull. It's going to be assist. It's like damage assisted.
Yeah, okay.
Assist damage, yeah. So you have your score assist. This is damage assist. So did somebody enable someone else to be able to do some damage? And then let's track that, right? Yeah, okay, cool.
No, perfect.
Yep. So
what were your final thoughts, overall thoughts on Scenario 16 as a whole?
I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. Okay, so I guess in a word, in a sentence, like the robots go boom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a bit of a chat after the scenario, and I think it's just the proximity. So again, we've talked about this before, right? If we do these scenarios in a different order, we probably don't have the same experience. Although 14 and 22 were like they're the right ones, yeah. They were linked because they were next to each other.
Yep.
But this one, you don't need to do this ones in this order. Our first run through of this, we had the robots blow up, 3 or 4 times out of their 5 or 6 turns? They blow up a lot.
I guess, but if they blow up, they're not there anymore. So if they go, if they do a 4 or 5, 6 turns in a row, they're not there to do it. They're not even going to.
Well, we don't draw a card if they're not there.
Yeah.
But in that first run through, they blew up and then they blew up and then they blew up. I'm pretty sure they blew up like 2 or 3 times, right?
Probably.
And then in the second run through, they blew up 0 times.
Yes.
Right. Now, that drastically changed our experience in the first and second one. And now we played a lot better in the second one, but we also knew the scenario, so it makes it easy because you can plan around it. And I think that the conversation we're having is that because the same thing happened with the wave throwers, where we talked about that in our first run through. They drew it like 5 out of 6 times, and the second run through they drew it none or once at the end. And then I don't think 14 factors into that because that was just a cluster to begin with. So it doesn't matter what they drew. But I think that this is now 2 monsters that have the ability to really change the experience of the scenario depending on 1 card in the monster deck or 2 in the case of the wave throwers. And I just feel like it works kind of, but when there's lots of them, it can go wrong, right? Because I don't like the spikiness of some of the monsters in the monster deck cards. Is that right? I don't like the spikiness is in the difference between the how powerful they are and how low. But it's not even that they're powerful. It's more just like set up in the scenario that they're going to be powerful. They are, right? Because the way I look at it is, if we're probably going to fight more robots, because I think we're just charging headlong into this alarm. And now we might find one that's corridors. Now these with 2 or 3 of these in a room with a long corridor and them spaced out, that card is not really an issue.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Really easy to play around. You're not surrounded. But this mission specifically, in the way it was designed with that card, it had the potential just to be real bad. And that's the same with 22. I don't think those wave throwers summoning the eels is a bad thing. If you did a scenario that was 1 or 2 of them in a room, it doesn't matter, right? But when you have 6 of them, and the chance that they can draw it again and again and again, that's when it just gets silly. And yeah, that's my only kind of negative really from this scenario was that I just felt like the way that worked was, I don't know, it's hard to.
Well, it's unlike our conversation with the wave throwers, right? Both of their reset cards were summon eel and make water. This was one. So we were on, and this is the second week in a row, we're on one extreme side of the RNG dice where they're pulling it over and over again. And then the other side is not really an extreme. It's just from one extreme to another. The other side was, oh, okay, well, they've pulled their other reset card and we just never saw it once. So, yes, it has the potential to be like that. But I think it's kind of like, the stars are aligned in the wrong way. Because you could probably play that probably 50 odd times and probably not find that amount of RNG to play out in that order.
Possibly, yeah. I think it's just when a scenario is set up that bad RNG can make it, and I don't want to use the word unplayable because I don't think this one particularly was, although I think 22 definitely was kind of unplayable if you get real bad RNG. I feel like that is something that, I don't know, would it maybe something to mitigate that in some way? And I think one of the things we spoke about was just not putting those cards on refresh, right?
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Because then it can't happen again. It's straight after, because that's the only feel bads.
Can't be twice in a row.
Yeah. And look, we talked about oozes. Oozes from Gloomhaven were exactly the same thing, right? They have this split card, turns them into 2 oozes that can get out of control real quickly, and it's on a refresh. But the thing that stops them from getting out of control is they also take 2 damage when they do it. So even if they split for ages, they end up on no life, or they kill themselves, right? And so it gets to a point where that becomes not as much of an issue. So I just hope that we don't end up having more monsters where their thing is this 1 or 2 cards in their deck that just does something that can be really busted in a certain scenario, and then other times it's just like meh. I'd rather, because I felt like most of the monsters have been pretty well balanced in that regard.
Yeah.
Not boring, because I think we think about the Shriek Fiends, we think about even Frost Imps, even the Priests, which we hated, right? They didn't have like one card where we're like, oh my God, if they draw that again, we're just absolutely wrecked, right? It was more like, oh, well, they've got a series of cards that are bad. And then there was a couple of specific situations that we were like,
if we started that again, knowing that, right? Because I'm thinking more and more about, yes, there's the card there, but you when you see them, it's in their deck, right? It's a late card, and it's going to be 2 move. I'm not saying it can be played around.
Yeah, definitely.
With the 2 move and whatever CC you have, and just spacing it. Now that's a harder spot. I'm just basically, in a way, rehashing a little bit of what you've just gone down with the room thing. I'm struggling to see it on the busted side of some of the other things we've seen. That's all.
No, and I think that's what that's why I said I didn't want to go into the rabbit hole, because I think this is just it's like almost the straw that's not breaking the camel's back, but it's making it feel real heavy, right? In that these didn't feel that bad, nowhere near as bad as the wave throwers from 22, right? And you are right. Now we know these robots can do it. It does go late. We just have to be super careful and make sure that we CC them in advance, right? Like before they're going to have their turn, make sure that we have some way of dealing with it. So yeah, you can play around this, but again, from that perspective of a monster like drawing a card that's an attack, right, that you can outrange or whatever, versus a monster drawing an attack that blows up. It's not just doing heaps of damage, it's also removes them from the board, which is good. But it changes the way the scenario goes.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
you're definitely right.
Yeah. So anyway, not good or bad, but I just hope we don't have more of this. I hope we don't, because this is now the second scenario in a row that we've kind of had the same weird spiky RNG stuff. And it's also one where the first one we got real bad RNG and had to restart. The second one we got like the god RNG and didn't.
True, but it didn't leave us at the end of the night saying, "Wow, what a horrendous scenario! I never want to do that again." it didn't
No, but
leave us
But if
with that in
if
mind.
our first run in 22 had been as a second run in 22, we wouldn't have left that scenario saying that was horrendous. We would have gone on the internet going, "What's everyone complaining about? This is a breeze. Like
That's
this is
true.
easy." So
That's true.
yeah. I don't know. Let's. I just hope it's not a thing that
Yeah.
we have to repeat scenarios if we get bad RNG.
Yeah. Well, that can be
So-
a whole other podcast. So I guess we can just start that one up soon and just go down the rabbit hole every time.
Well, I guess
That'll be the
bad RNG
Patreon episode. Is you and me waffling on for 3 hours about some mechanic that happened during the week.
I suppose bad RNG is literally what this is all about, right? That's what Amdirt is.
Pretty much. Yeah. So it's good that we get to experience it properly.
Yep.
We are the masters.
So
Well,
that's it.
we didn't actually get to do a outpost phase because we literally did two sessions back to back, which led to another very late night. So we called it there after having a little chat. So yeah, we'll pick up of that next week when we go further down robot laser pew pew land and see if we can get the droids that Gaz is looking for.
Well, actually, we didn't do an outpost because we're linking, right? Because this is an optional link one.
We're still at the location. We just hadn't decided whether or not we were heading back or
that's
not.
right.
So
That's
yeah,
right.
we're most likely going to continue. So yeah, I guess we will wrap it up there. If you'd like to contact us, email me, or us. Actually, just me.
Yeah, just email Daddy so that he can just like filter the content through to me and tell me the things I'm doing wrong.
That's right.
Yeah.
Email us at contact@rollingterribly.com. We're found on Instagram at am_dirt and Twitter at umdirt.
And if you want to make sure that I also get to see the communications, do the Twitter one because I have access to that.
show you.
You
definitely show you.
You definitely show me after you've already had the conversation and you've started talking shit about me.
Okay, I look after the Instagram. Gaz looks after the Twitter. So yes, you can privately talk to him through that way, and I wouldn't know about it. So thanks again for tuning in. We look forward to catching up with everyone again next week when we do the next one. I've been Deddy. Joined again, once again, by the G-Man Gaz.
And remember, when it comes to rolling terribly, robots go boom.
And then we got moved to attack 2-3. If the attack ability was performed, all adjacent enemies suffer trap damage, and the room machine dies.
Oh, wow.
Is that about to insta-give us?
No, if the attack ability was performed, all adjacent enemies suffer... Oh, well, it's trap damage, so it's 5 damage. But then basically walk up and...
They're all doing that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I might jump onto the ledge.
I might pull it one.
You want what? Pull one? Which one are you pulling?
I might pull this one.
Yes.
That's amazing. I have a whole different puzzle now. I was like,
How much fun is it having cards that hurt everybody?
so
See?
good.
I will... So this guy, I'll pull this guy to there. And unfortunately there is no light up, so I can't do anything with that. And then I'm going to hit him for 4.
Is it eating that?
Not yet. No, for 3.
3.
Yep.
That's not bad.
And then eat the wind and make ice and light.
Ooh. Oh, I don't know if I want you to retire.
I know. I finally have someone to challenge me. It's like, oh, this is so cool.